Record. My name is Ankur Patel. I'm the Director of Advancement for Hindu University of America, and it is my pleasure to have you join us for our special webinar on Hindu contributions to the world with, I'd like to say, my friends, the two doctors, Dr. D.K. Hari and Dr. Hema Hari. They've been on this journey with us at Hindu University of America for a while now. They've been on this journey of exploring and sharing and making Vedic knowledge, Indian history, Dharma available and accessible to people all around the world. They're based in India, and they've done amazing research, and they have offered a series of courses with Hindu University of America that go deep into what I wish I learned when I was a kid, growing up in Los Angeles in public schools, where they're telling us Hindus haven't done anything, we're backwards, we're superstitious, all we know is about caste. But in reality, you know, Pythagoras, A squared plus B squared plus C squared, he might have gotten that from Bharat. You know, Democritus traveled to India before he transferred a lot of that knowledge to the West. And there's so many different threads that we can get into. In today's webinar, we're going to focus on the material contributions of the Hindu civilization, of the Vedic civilization, of the Indian civilization to the world. We've got just over 108 people joining us today. If you can put in the chat where you are joining us from. We've got people from around the world. Please make it to everyone so everyone can see. A lot of you are just typing into the host. I love to see it, but I think everyone loves to see the diversity of folks of the Hindu diaspora from around the world. And Dr. Hema Hari, Dr. D.K. Hari, let me just give you a brief introduction and hand it over. They actually earned their doctorates together at Sri Sri University, and they started the Bharat Nyan Initiative in Civilizational Studies in the year 2000. And since then, they have exploded. They have produced hundreds of books and videos and content. And we're, again, glad that Hindu University of America can be a platform for the Haris to share their interdisciplinary approach to researching all these important issues from a Hindu perspective. It's my pleasure to welcome you on today and everyone from all around the world. And, put your questions in the chat. We'll go on for an hour, hour and a half, depending how it goes. And I'm sure you have a wonderful presentation to share with us. And I love your energy always, the back and forth, the conversation. I know this is going to be a beautiful, fun webinar for all of our participants. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ankur, for inviting us for this webinar and for a very nice introduction. Thank you so much. And as you said, we do have a presentation, and it will be jointly done by Hema and myself. And as we have been doing over the last few webinars, thank you. And we are very happy to see such a nice audience today, which is going over 135. Excellent, 136. Excellent. Thank you so much to all of you for sparing your time and then joining in. And as Ankur Patel just said, this is about the course that we are starting on October 9th about Hindu contributions to the world in the realm of matter. Actually, it's a course, it's two parts. One is Hindu contribution to the world in the realm of matter. That's what we'll be doing now this quarter. And we'll be following it up in the subsequent quarters with Hindu contribution to the world in the realm of mind. So look at this mind and matter, because we always speak about mind over matter, matter over mind, mind and matter, all this we speak. So we thought in both the realms, in both the spheres, the Hindus, our civilization, has contributed to the world civilization. So we'll look at each one of it. And over the courses, which is roughly about 90 minutes each session. Actually, we never end in 90 minutes, always goes for 2 hours and over, which we're happy to do. And where we look at each of these aspects and take all your questions that as many as we can, and we'll try to answer as many as we can and jointly look at all these aspects. That's a beauty of all this that we're going to do. And when we say Hindu contribution, see, Hinduism has been contributing to the world civilization for millennia, 5, 6, 7,000 years in a variety of fields, beautifully. And unfortunately, many of these contributions, especially in the field of mathematics and some other fields, have been erroneously mentioned as Arabic numerals. Arabic contribution. That was because Indians from Sindhu Nadi and beyond the Hindu civilization have been contributing it to Arabs who are the traders in between, and they taking it into Europe. So obviously, since they were the people carrying this knowledge, information, it came to be called as Arabic. But they very clearly in their text call it Hinsa, meaning that which comes from Hind. So they quote the source as Hinsa, saying comes from Hind, and now it is for us Hindus to give facts, to give proof, and claim it as ours. Because if we don't claim it as ours, it will be attributed to the Arabs. They are not claiming it as theirs. They are saying it is the Hindus who have given this knowledge. So it is for us now, through such courses, through such mediums, forums, books, films, articles, and a whole host of such modern yantra, all these tools that we need to say it is our knowledge, and happily that we have shared it with everybody. That's the beauty of it. And see, we are not saying you took it, stole it. No, that's not the intention at all. That's not the perspective at all. We as a civilization have been sharing it with the world at large, because the fundamental idea of the Hindu thought is not colonization. The colonial idea itself is very European. Whereas we have a very clear idea called Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. The word meaning, we'll share the screen, show you the word Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam, which means Krinvanto means it comes with the root word Kar. So Krinvanto Vishwam, the world, Aryam, a noble place. So that is what we say, Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. Look at the word that we use. Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam, meaning let us make, Aryam is not about any race or Aryan, no. There's no word called Aryan. It's an imposed word on us by the colonists. We have a word called Aryam. There's a big difference between Ma and Aryam means nobility. So Vishwam, world, Krinvanto, let's make the world a noble place. Look at this lofty thought that we have had. We have not said we'll go and loot you or plunder you, or we will invade you, we will destroy you. No. Let us collectively make this world a noble place to live in. Look at the lofty ideal. And this ideal is as old as the Veda, because it's mentioned in the Veda. That's the beauty of it. It's mentioned in the Purana. And we've always done this. So now, from looking at from this perspective, that's how we have spread all over the world to reach out to the whole humanity, to refine, educate, and all of us be noble. So what you are all doing in the United States of America and different parts of the world, some of you are also from South America and the Caribbean. So wherever we go, the Hindus go, what is it we do? We make that place noble. We make the place habitable. We make friends with everybody. So it's not a hegemonic idea at all that we have, whereas the idea is different. That's the beauty of our civilization, our culture, our land. Now let's look at one particular aspect of India.
Yeah, and here I just want to add, Hari mentioned about Hinsa and the Arabs. They have never claimed all these to be inventions from the Arab land. On the contrary, if you see their names, some of the beautiful names explain to us the relationship that this Hindu civilization had shared with the Arabs. For instance, some of the girls in Arabia are even today, in fact, even in today's royal family, there are a few women who are called Al-Hind. Al is like the Shri that you say in Shri, Shrimati and all that.
It is
that
an honorific. It's honorific. A prefix and honorific. Al.
And Hind, if you look at the word Hind, it means that which comes from India, for one, because India was called Hind for them. In fact, that is how this word from Sindh becomes Hind, then Ind, and then comes back to us as India. So one of the names is Hind, and even today in most of the Arabic as well as Central Asian countries up to Turkey, they call us Hind. So when we land there and we give the passports, they'll say, oh, Hind. That's how they address us. And this word Hind actually has a beautiful meaning. It means, if you ask people of present times, they may not be able to give this perspective. They will only tell you that Hind means that which is very precious. So since daughters are very precious to their families, the girls were called Hind, which means precious. But look at the connotation behind the idea of preciousness. So what had they held precious? What had they held so precious that the word Hind, meaning Hind from India, meant preciousness to them? So the Arab civilization, which was living on trade, for them it is trade that is their lifeline, because that place is a desert, and it's very hard to produce anything there. And it's only in recent times that we have discovered oil. But, and I mean, they would have discovered oil, but we discovered a use for that oil. They were, I'm sure, very well aware or whatever, but the use for oil is what has propelled the Arab world today. But in earlier times, it was the trade that really was the lifeline for that civilization. And they have held the Hindu civilization as the most precious one. So from there, if we go, in fact, and even for boys, there is a name, Muhannad. So that also means that which comes from India. And these are some of the things.
These are telltale signs you see in a civilization, but you need to go beyond just the facade of the name. When you go deeper, you'll get to know these beautiful things. Like that, we bring out very interesting, nice ideas about Hind, Muhan, Bharat, India, all this in this 1 hour that we're going to speak today, and later from there on into the course. Now, if you look at India, India has been an enigma to us, all of us here in this course, everybody. India has right through been an enigma. That's the beauty of, that's why we call this enigmatic India, this land itself. It's got variety of images. Look at some of the images. The most popular in this era is the Taj Mahal, and India has a lot of Maharajas, so many of them, with snake charmers. That's what we have been unfortunately portrayed, which is not wholly true, with a lot of elephants in the land. That's the beauty of this land also. And they also show this, unfortunately, they show
we
cows.
have diversity on our roads as well.
Yeah, both flora and fauna on our
and
roads.
Very sadly, a lot of poverty.
But all this resurgence has come about in the last few decades, primarily from this and other reasons. So that's how we now see India as. But if we look at 800 years back, one of the first Europeans to travel to India was Marco Polo, the traveler who traveled about 700 years ago. He started in Venice, his hometown, went over the Silk Route to China, then Southeast Asia, then finally came to India, to the Malabar coast, and thereon into India. So when he came here, he had already seen much of the known world then. And he writes in his works, when he goes back to his hometown, Venice, he writes that of all the lands that he has seen, this is the book he writes about Marco Polo, which was those days a big work, where he speaks about the images of fabulous wealth and splendor of India. And this dominated the European minds. Why does he speak about so much about the wealth and splendor of India? Because even though he's been over all these regions, he says of all the regions he's seen, this is the most fabulous, splendorous, most wealthy.
At this point, I just want to give you a small tidbit. Now, it is not in vain or just random that Shakespeare chose to write the play Merchant of Venice. Venice of those times was indeed the trade hub for Europe. So a lot of the Mediterranean trade was happening through the gates of Venice. So it was very natural for Shakespeare to talk and place his story, locate his story in Venice and talk about the merchants there and then the Shylock and everything else.
We will come to this point of Merchant of Venice 20 minutes down the line, because on a particular subject, we'll get to that. So please hold this point that she said about the Merchants of Venice.
And also it will be a very good gel for, I saw in the chat box earlier, there was a Dr. Bala Iyer, MD from Houston, who had said from the Sugarland. So it will vibe very well. And with many of the people from the Caribbeans who are attending this webinar today.
So what happened? See, and what did he say? He said, this land is made up of millions of precious gems, millions of gold coins, millions of fertile land, country, and millions of amazing people. Of course, the word for millions in Italian, Roman was a milli. And mind you, look at the term milli. For milli was the highest number known to the Europeans then. There was no number higher than milli. That is 1,000. M. That is a Roman numeral. M was there. So they actually dubbed him as Marco Milli because for them, they could not believe that a land could be so precious with so much gold coins, so fertile a country with so much amazing people. Do you know why? They couldn't imagine a land could be so fertile and so well, so prosperous, because Europe in 1300s was coming out of dark ages. And that was what 1,000 years of dark ages. Family fighting family, village fighting town, town fighting a province fighting a kingdom, a dukedom. So constant 1,000-year battle. Then how can you have fertility? Then how can you have prosperity? How can you have wealth? This was a fight between the pagans and the Christendom.
And mind you, these wars which were fought on the European land and the ideas, the rules which govern warfare are very different from the kind of rules and the ideals that governed warfare in the Hindu civilization.
This point we will take up when we discuss Hindu contribution to the world in the realm of mind, because even warfare had a particular mindset that we will discuss that. Getting on to this point today. So it was not only Marco Polo. The Greeks, when they came here, what did they see and say? They said between the Hydaspes and Hyphasis rivers, there were 1,500 cities which were teeming with prosperity. High degree of prosperity. So this land was designed to be prosperous. This is in 326 BCE. That is 2,300 years ago. Look at this. So this speaks about.
So he's talking fundamentally about what is called the Indus Valley region, but the Sindhu Saraswati civilization.
Or today what you know as Punjab.
All the valleys of the Sindhu River.
The consolidated Punjab of India and Pakistan, East and West Punjab, the whole region. Look at that. So that is what you're talking about. So when did all this actually change? In a way, the change in Indian civilization happened not in India, but in Turkey, between Turkey and Greece. Look at this. In the city of Istanbul, which in the Arabic language is known as Kustania, and in the Roman Greek is known as Constantinople. Constantinople was the second largest city in the Christendom after Rome. Okay, when Constantinople was taken over by the Arabs, the Turks, not the Arabs, the Turks, and became Istanbul, what happened? The trade route through which from India goods reached Europe was cut off.
Land route.
Was cut off. So Europe was choked of Indian goods, which was getting for millennia, just choked.
And mind you, this is actually a very beautiful connection, which is practically not a separation at all. For what lies here between Europe and Asia Minor is a very thin strip of water body, which is called the Bosphorus Strait. And it is called the Bosphorus Strait because it is so narrow and shallow that the cattle could cross across. The bows.
They can wade through.
Bows, which means cattle, cow, bovine. So these cows could go across between these two
straits,
actually continents for us, but very minimally separated. So that was very advantageous for trade, and it was very easy for goods from all these parts of the world to get into Europe through the Asia Minor. But when the Turks took over, and mind you, this is again during the Dark Ages, towards the end of Dark Ages, and so it was
1400s.
So it was a war between Islam and Christianity, and
the clash of civilizations. So, and the Turks took over Istanbul, which is on the other side. So when they took over, the trade route was cut off. Europe was choked from getting goods from India. So what did they have to do then? They had to find an alternate route to Indian goods.
Because by then, the goods from India had already filled the minds and tastes of the Europeans
Taste,
and
dresses, needs,
lifestyle.
everything, including the warfare material. Everything was from India. So India was the production hub for them. So they were getting everything. So that was cut off totally. So they had to find a new sea route to India. So what did they do? First was Diego Chavo. He tried to find a sea route. He could not. Then came to Bartholomew. I'm sure the elders here, the group would have heard of the Bartholomew maps. Okay, these were the maps a couple of centuries ago. Maps itself were called Bartholomew maps. You got Mercator maps, Bartholomew maps. So it was this person, Bartholomew, who tried to find a sea route to India. But unfortunately, what happened was when he came up to South Africa, he could not cross the Horn. And his ship sank. So look at the name. What is this place called? Cape of Good Hope. So anybody who could cross this is Good Hope. If you can't cross it, bad luck.
We have somebody, one of our students from an earlier course.
Yes, she's a Pratishtha Devi is there. She's there in this program.
South Africa. We just saw her.
Look at the name. So the name for South African tip, Good Hope, comes in the search for India. It's not based on South Africa. It's based on India. The naming itself.
So if you are able to turn around that tip safely, and if you're able to know how, at least from here on, you know now you're in the sea, which is closest to India. But even then, this was a challenge because Bartholomew, he could not go beyond this and his ship sank because these seas, the conditions that prevail here vis-a-vis what prevailed here, and mind you, he was the first person who was actually coming from Europe towards the southern part of Africa. They were so far only content with navigating these seas, the Mediterranean seas. And when we come a little further, you will see.
Course, you'll see that.
We will see what the world was for Europe. For Europe, the world was just this big. This is all they thought was the world.
All the seas that Europe knew was the Mediterranean Sea, North Sea, and these fjords. That's all the whole sea they knew because they had not gone beyond this into the Atlantic. And this was the largest sea they had seen in their lives for millennia. Whereas look at the Indian Ocean size, which the Indian navigators were using. This was not just 10 times, 20 times, multi times more, which is what we'll see in the course, the ship size, everything. So now it came upon Christopher Columbus. What did Christopher Columbus do? By his time, he knew that the world was round. That's when Europe knew the world was round. So he used a logic. Okay, Bartholomew was not able to go east. Suppose I go west. Then the world is round. What will I do? I'll come to India. So Christopher Columbus went west because that's when he knew the world was round. That's when Europe knew the world was round to look for India. So he took the biggest ship of his times and went to circumnavigate the globe to reach India.
And this was the end of the world for him as far as they knew. They didn't know there was a land here.
That is why he calls it New World. And Christopher Columbus, in all his life, reached only the West Indies. That's why the name West Indies comes about. And the locals, the natives of American mainland are called Red Indians because of the misnomer of Christopher Columbus and team 500 years ago. And that stuck for 500 years. Because the search was for India. And what happened finally, Vasco da Gama, he takes the largest ship of his times and comes along the African coast to the southern part of Africa, when lo and behold, he sees 10 times the size of his ship in the eastern coast of Africa. And so look at, he already comes to the biggest ship of his times from Europe. Look at the 10 times, and in the midst of them, with a navigator by name Kanha who navigates their ship, he reaches Calicut Kozhikode for the first time. So that is how he finds a sea route today in the midst of Indian ships. So navigation itself is a trade, it's an art that Indians were excelled in. So that's how they came. So what do you see? The world was looking for India, be it in India, East Indies, West Indies, Red Indians, Indonesia, everywhere. The way we have in the English language, the word that the proverbial pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So that was what they're looking for, everybody. Literally looking for the most prosperous country in the world. Because why prosperous? Yes, we were spiritual, we had yoga, we had asana, we had spirituality, philosophy, but we also had prosperity, which is what Marco Polo says. It's what the Greeks say. That means what? We were producing goods that the others in the world were not producing them. What was it we were producing? To make this the most prosperous. That is why we see Angus Madison in his report says 1/3 of the world GDP for 2 millennia and more was provided by India. Because that means you must have been doing something right. As Hema says, you must have been doing something right to be producing all that. What were we doing? Because the West was looking for India, not just for spices. Spice was just one product, one among the many, different forms of treasure and wisdom. So it's inexhaustible treasure trove. Alexander came to India for what? Not just to capture, for a few more things you'll see along now. Then Arabs came for a variety of trade. Christopher Columbus went west, searching for India. So it was an India-centric world then. The Europeans came for trade. So it was a very India-centric world. And that's the enigma that India is. So what we'll do is, given this, we'll see the brand that India was for a variety of products. That's what we'll see now. This is brand Bharat, which is what we'll be dealing with in this course, Hindu Contribution to the World. This also, we have 5-volume books on it, which will show you now. And
so fundamentally, if you, that is a beautiful subject for another day, how we get the name Bharat itself and what all it stands for. We can peel layer by layer, and yes, like an onion, but you will shed tears of joy at appreciation of how the people of the civilization had fathomed so many layers that suit this civilization and had aptly named it Bharat. Now, one of the names, one of the meanings for the word Bharat also means metallurgy. It comes from the aspect which is, we find even today, the word that is used in many North Indian languages for vessels, which is bartan and bhartiyo. Bhartiyo is metallurgy. And it also comes from the aspect that the rishi who is credited with metallurgy is Bhrigu, Bhargava. Bhrigu and Bhargava, Bha, it means to shine. So to glow. And metallurgy is all about using fire and the glow. So continuously, if you go to a metallurgist place of work, you will just keep seeing a lot of glow.
Glowing. And here one point, since it's our friend Ankur Patel who was the anchor for the show. He is, I'm sure, as his name suggests, he must be a Gujarati. His mother tongue, where the word Bhartiyo obviously means metallurgy in the Gujarati language. Bartan, Bhartiyo, obviously. Okay, there. So it is, see, the Gujaratis are great traders. The Sindhis, Gujarati, each of them great traders all over. So look at this, how they took this idea. So the word Bharat itself comes from Bhartiyo.
And do you know who has been one of the earliest traders? This is something that, since we are talking about Gujarat and we're talking about trade, this is something which will really give a totally different perspective to one of the favorite heroes of this land. We just celebrated Janmashtami last week, right? And one of the biggest actually trading community has been the Yadava and Krishna's Dwarka. It's very evident from the very name for that city. It is Jai Ho Dwarkadish, yes. So Dwarka, the name itself means, it
what
comes
does the name
from
mean?
Dwar. Dwar, gateway, doorway.
Look,
Look, even doorway comes from dwar.
the Urdu word darwaza comes from dwar. It's a Sanskrit word dwar. And the English word door comes from dwar. So when you say dwar, so Krishna and Balrama named it Dwarka. Why? Why could they not choose some other name? Just a new town they built. They built it on reclaimed land.
From Revati's father, Balrama's father-in-law,
So,
who had gifted that land to Balrama. So they could have named it after her or her father. But they chose to name it Dwaraka because that was the gateway to India then, from the seas in the west. Look at it, it is just right on the coast, especially to Arabia. So, and you have so many waterways from Dwaraka. So we had Dwaraka as a gateway in the west coast. One of them actually.
Going to the Arabian, going to the Mesopotamia, Sumeria civilization, that. East towards you had Puri, which was a gateway from Odisha.
And
then you had
the entire Coromandel coast. Actually, when we do the contribution, Hindu contribution,
you'll see all the layers.
We have got this like, when we were dealing with all of this, we were wondering how to present these contributions. I mean, there's no point in us telling that, yes, there was that went from India, there was this item that went. But what are the lessons we are going to learn from learning that the Indian civilization had produced a lot of these? So metallurgy, if you see today, is one of the aspects. And knowing, yes, we had excelled in metallurgy is not really going to make a big difference to us now.
There are 2 points.
Unless,
there are 2 points. Both Sudhir and Rupak Agarwal have both raised about King Bharata. Yes, that is very much part of the course that we do. The first session of that. See, the word Bharata itself, yes, it's from, you can say it's from him. But how does the King Bharata get the name Bharata? Why does he get the name Bharata? So there's reason for that. So the name, so did the land, because he was the king of this land, did he get the name Bharata? Or did the King Bharata give his name to the land? Or is the antiquity of the land older than King Bharata himself? If so, which Bharata? Rama's brother is a Bharata. Then you have an earlier Bharata. Shakuntala Dushyant's son is a Bharata. Then there's a Bharata before that.
Yeah,
yes, all this information, Pandit Mukaramji, this is all documented and put up in our book, Brand Bharat, available. So you can please read the book Brand Bharat. It's on our website, bharatgyan.com website.
But something.
And also come for the course where we'll, as she said, each layer of onion will peel and go through. Welcome to the course. Every session will be interesting, where it will be totally interactive, because this webinar format doesn't, the format is so that it's not going to be, it cannot be interactive, whereas the course will be full of interactive sessions. Every question will be taken the way where we see the chat and keep answering. The course will be full of answering. And it's not a soliloquy. The course is fully multi-log, not just dialogue, it's multi-log.
And at this point, what we want to tell you is very true about the name Bharat. Metallurgy is one aspect. Like I said, there are various layers to that meaning. So the names of the kings are also another aspect which lends the name to the land. But fundamentally, you will see that the word Bharat means one who relishes knowledge. Bharat comes from that, to relish knowledge.
So since few of our friends have specifically asked this, we'll go back one slide to show them, because we thought we'll show it in the course. But since you raised the point, we'll show it here. Look at this.
It comes from light. We just saw a little while ago, Bhargava. So that which glows, and what glows, is enlightenment. When you get enlightened, you glow with knowledge. And Rata, if you see, the Hindu god of love is Kamadev, and his consort is Rati. And Rati is always a name that is given to somebody who's very beautiful, who is very pleasurable to look at, and therefore delightful to look at, charming. So look at the way they have coupled these two, Kamadev, love and desire, pleasures. So these two go together, and Rata means one who takes pleasure. So
Rata.
in
Rata, Rati. Look at them. Masculine feminine. So Rata, as she says, is one who takes pleasure in. So what does that mean? That means this is a connoisseur, one who is immersed in a connoisseur. Okay, so Bhaskara, Bhanumati, isn't it? Bhaskar for light, sunlight. So enlightenment, as you rightly use the word enlightenment. So that's why we say Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, lead us from darkness to light. So Bhaskara, so Bhanumati. So Bharata is what? A land where its people are immersed in knowledge, a land where people are connoisseurs of knowledge. Can we think of any other country, land, province, district in the world which proudly calls itself across centuries, not decades, across centuries and millennia, as a land that is a land of knowledge? He is so proud that the Hindu civilization calls itself Bharatiya. Bharata meaning people who are seeking knowledge. Bharat Mata, yes.
So that is why we have had so many kings who have been called Bharat. And the beauty is when you come to Bharata or Bharat, the brother of Lord Ram, the Bharat takes a very different connotation. There, if you look at Ram, the word Ram, Rama, it means one who is a delight to the eye, one who radiates charm, who radiates comfort, who is so comforting, that's why you have the word Ramya. So
Ramya is what? Pleasing. Ramya.
So the word Ra, the root Ra in that is to radiate as well.
Comfort
and radiate both have the same root in
Look
that
at the
Ra.
English word radiate. What is sun ray? Look at the word again, ray.
The Egyptian god, sun god is Ra. And
they are solar dynasty. They are all called Ra. The Ramses is a very Greco term of only few centuries old. The original term in the Pharaonic language of original Egypt is Ramasa. That's all, Rama. Because there's no vowel there. Okay, so
yeah, so you're radiating light and knowledge, and in 40 minutes, amazing what we've covered. You even took a question that came up in the chat and did a nice little dive. That was amazing. I think a lot of people appreciated that. I did as well. I dropped details for the course in the chat. We're going to keep on taking your questions. We're going to get into this, but we're going to offer a $100 discount if you sign up by Monday. And this is just one course, right? The Hurries have offered several courses, and there's so much knowledge, and they have evolved their presentation to organize it better, make it more accessible. We're going to share the webinar replay, but you're not going to get the depth of this knowledge, of this wisdom, of this enlightenment, of this light without doing the work yourself, right? Of studying, of learning, of participating, of going through the doorway, right? And joining our platform here at Hindu University of America. So just wanted to make the pitch for the course. Again, drop the link in the chat. We have a discount. It's only going to be $200. We had a different pricing system in the past. This is going to be, I think, a flat fee. Just enroll in the course, please. Enjoy this interaction that you will get even more of for the fall quarter. But please continue and take us further on this journey. This is amazing. Thank you.
So for
there's a question here. I think there's a question from Jaishi. Would you like to take it, Ankurji?
So what is the time commitment of the course? Like,
yes.
Well, yes, please, if you want to take it.
It's 20
lifetime.
Learning is a lifetime experience, isn't it?
So more than learning, relishing is a lifetime and beyond lifetime, especially when you start realizing, look at this, so Bharata, just to complete that, when you will appreciate this even more. So this Bharata, Rama's brother Bharata, was called Bharata because for him, the world was Rama. Ram was his goal. For him, everything was Ram. And so the bha that he was enjoying, the glow that he enjoyed, was the glow that was radiating from Ram, not just knowledge. So Bharata, in today's, when we read Ramayana, we are told about how Bharat is a exemplar for devotion to Ram. And for him, everything was about Ram. So his name, look at it, so appropriately named as Bharat, who enjoys and relishes his Ram. And as we understand each of these aspects, and believe you, for us, every course is different, and we have enjoyed and relished every course that we have done. We have done the same course for so many groups, and even now we are doing parallelly the same course for American batch and an Australian batch, and they are so different. Every session we cover the same subject, but the course takes on a different, it goes in a different route. And sometimes we therefore tend to share very nice tidbits from one to the other. So the point is, this relishing and this learning is actually a lifetime commitment.
Sangeeta ji, yes, you have a question. Brand Bharat, which book you read? You can read any book, any page to any page. The way we have designed the book is you can open, read 2-3 pages, close, open, next day read another 4-5 pages. 7-8 times you open and read a book, you'll get the idea. Or in Kindle, go anywhere, read. So we are given that flexibility in the book itself. And when you come to the course and read the book, it will start giving you insights, very different from what you will be discussing in the course. And you're most welcome to share those insights in the course, because everybody's insight is their personal insight. That is important. So that is what you see.
And Vishweshwar ji has brought in a beautiful point about Libya and God Ram's son love. And we show actually a beautiful connect in that region with Ram himself. And many of the kings, and we have actually written about this in detail in our book Ayodhya War and Peace, where we trace how Ram, his progeny, and the solar dynasty,
Surya Vansha,
you can
traveled
trace
all over
the
the
connect.
world.
You can trace the
It's
connect.
there in our book Ayodhya War and Peace. Then Diksha ji, we are not saying India is a wrong term or a bad term. That is also our term. See, we have shown a film. Please go to the YouTube channel, as one of the other mentioned. You have seen a YouTube channel where we show how the name Sin became Hind, Sir, her interchange. It became Sin, became Hind, and from Hind it goes on to become, when it goes from Turkey to Greece, crosses the Bosphorus Strait into Greece, what happens, between those two civilizations? While, see, one side, between the Indian civilization, the Persian civilization, the Sir becomes H, it transforms. It's called, like how in Bengal you have Sari, Sadi. In English you say Sari, S-A-R-I, but in Hindi you say Sadi. In Gujarati you say Sadi. Like that, so there's a ra here interchange, but both languages have ra and da, but you interchange it. Bengal, like that, it becomes there. Sin becomes Hind, and it goes from Greece to, and goes from Turkey to Greece. H is dropped.
Yeah.
So
we're taking questions. Do you still have more of your presentation to go, or should we start going through the questions? And if you have questions, as part of the still 190 people, we had almost 200 people at the max. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A box. But if you still have your presentation to get through, or is that,
yes,
have a couple
actually
more slides?
our presentations never end, so it depends on when your time window is ending. We will back work accordingly.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so if there are more questions, I think let's take the questions.
There's a question, very nice question from Lakshmikant ji about Abraham and how the name, given us name Hindu. No. We discuss actually in our course, Exploring Hinduism, also Hindu contribution to the world in the realm of mind, the connection between Abraham and Hindu thought, or the contrary nature of it, opposite nature of it. It's a very important aspect which we deal in detail in the course, because I can answer in 2 minutes, but it will not be sufficient, and you will think the answer is insufficient. So, yes.
It is not corrupt.
No.
It is the contrast.
It's a contrast, not the corruption. No, it's not the contrast. So we've got enough data to prove. And incidentally, that is there in our book, Brand Bharat, Volume 5, Future from India. You can read it. Okay. So that is there. And
because it doesn't stop with Abraham. It goes further to What is Abraham's wife?
Spouse.
Sarah. And who is Brahma's wife? Saraswati.
Look at the phonetic similarity. There's a lot more layers to it. All that we'll do in the course. Each aspect of it. Yes, all our books are available. All our books are available in the Bharat Gyan website. From there on to Kindle. Now, as Ankur Patel ji asked us, we'll continue a little more about this course. It's an important aspect. We'll take going on to the content.
And as we go on, let me just launch this poll real quick. Are you interested in enrolling in this course? I am. Just click the yes, no, maybe either way, whatever you're feeling. We can keep track of it that way and follow up that way. Thank you. Let's keep it going.
So now, look, see, we are going to deal with this idea called Big Five. In this course, in detail, at least 10 plus sessions, we're going to take on Big Five. What is Big Five? See, when you talk about Big Five, what do you normally think of Big Five? In Kenya, the game of Big Five. Isn't it? No, we are going to show some other Big Five here. Very, very important for the Hindu civilization, the Big Five. The Big Five are iron and steel, zinc, cotton, indigo, sugar and spice. An important Big Five that made this land, this civilization, give 1/3 of the world GDP and more for not a decade or two, not a century or two, but 2 millennia and more, because we don't have records before 2 millennia. Angus Madison millennial research was only from the year 0. Incidentally, the word 0 also India gave to them. That we'll discuss how, when, where, all that we'll discuss in the course. So similarly, if you look at it.
And we just saw a little while ago, right, about the Merchant of Venice and how Venice was an important trade entry point to Europe for trade. And if you look at the story, and we saw so many people from the Caribbeans on the meeting today, we really will be, I mean, I'm at loss of words to express the sugar land that Dr. Bala Iyer spoke about. Sugar has been a biggest contribution to the world from the Hindu civilization that people do not talk about. And no one can realize the value of that contribution
Huge.
Than the people who live in the Caribbeans today.
And those people, because they have gone there because of sugar. Others, they're not left India to go there because they will.
And the price they have paid to get this to the world today. The
familial price, their ancestral price they have paid. And look at this. She spoke about Marco Polo coming from Venice. All of you have heard about the merchants of Venice. Have we ever paused and asked, what did these merchants trade in? That they became so prosperous to build a city for Venice or by the sea and have gondolas and singing romantic songs, going in the singing all in Venice, etc. But what did Venice trade in? Have any of us paused to think? Because in Shakespeare, he says the ships come, they sink, and then all this happens, right? Of course, I read Merchant of Venice 40 years ago. But what did merchants of Venice trade in? For them to become so prosperous, to have a Shylock and to have so Portia and all those people there, isn't it? We have never asked that question, unfortunately. Their trading, their profits, their fortune, their everything was based on Indian sugar. But for Indian sugar, there is no merchants of Venice and there is no city of Venice. Look at that. There's no Venice but for Indian sugar. Did we ever ask this question? What did the merchants trade in? Similarly, each one, if you take a question like cotton, it's a very interesting point. Cotton, it's here. Do you know what cotton? Two things. I'll just two slides. Can I just do two? Oh, he's putting it on. Uncle, do you know one thing? Cotton was a product unknown to Europe. Cotton was unknown to Europe. I'll just come to the slide later. I'm going to take one more slide. Look at this. Key slide I'm showing you. Who gave the book name history? You all know the subject history. You all speak of history. Who gave the name history? The very name comes from this person, Herodotus. So he gave the name. So he lived around 400 BCE. And he wrote the book Herodota, which is Historia. And you know what he says in this book? Look at this, very interesting. In India, he says it's strange that in India, plants produce sheep's wool. What's he talking about? Cotton. So cotton was given by India to the world. And to what extent? If you go back one slide, Cicero, the Roman orator, 2100 years back, he says in the Senate of Rome that they are sending 20 million gold coins each year to India to get cotton from India to bedeck the Roman ladies.
And he's brought it up as a very big issue in the Senate. And he's asking for a ban of Indian cotton. So India practiced Swaraj during freedom struggle to ban British goods coming into India. This is a Swaraj. I mean, this was a satyagraha and a ban of goods, foreign goods in Europe in Rome, in 1st century BCE.
So look at that. So like that, each aspect we look at, the 5 aspects of sugar, spices, indigo, cotton, each one of it we're looking at. So any questions we'll be happy to take. I think a lot of questions on chat and Q&A, which, yes, Ankur just put, yes, there are a lot of things. So.
Yeah, I love this framework of the big 5. So do we want to go through people's questions now?
Yes, please.
So I think just before the question, so what we have done is this particular course, we will be looking at the big 5 as one part of Hindu contributions to the world. And we will be looking at how all these contributions have been a game changer for the world, the geopolitics in the world, and what was the game changer for the Indians as well, the Hindu civilization, to be able to achieve all of this. So what did they leverage, and how did they strategize and use the resources that they had very well to be able to achieve this much of prosperity and flourish and sustain it, more importantly, sustain it. Today, we are seeing economies come and go and live hardly for 100 years. And
less than that. Look at the many economies that are crashing within few decades. They are depending on 1-2 things. They're crashing. Whereas the Hindu civilizational economy, because it was not one kingdom, it was made up of many kingdoms, but it was Hindu civilization from Afghanistan in the northwest to Burma in the east, to Ladakh, Kashmir in the north, to Sri Lanka in the south. So that civilization survived, was economically vibrant. So yes.
Indigo is actually the blue dye.
This question.
Actually, this is a color, indigo.
That's why she wore this color today to show about indigo. She wore this.
See, indigo and red have been great contributions from India.
Red is madder, the root madder red. That's why she wore this today.
In fact, the Turkey, they call it Turkey red, the British uniform, and the British and the French, they used to wear blue and red. The story of those uniforms, the colors, and how that British red is actually called the Turkey red because they got it from Turkey. And where did Turkey get it from? It was getting it from India. So the Hindus were manufacturing all these dyes organically, and the blue was, it's a beautiful story, which is why even today, blue is a very natural color for India. It wears this color blue as part of its sports uniform, and many India-related aspects are denoted with a blue.
The men in blue, which is for cricket. And please watch our short film in the Bharatgyan YouTube channel about blue, about indigo. See, when you have so much, Anil Agarwalji, when you have so much diversity, there's also an internal cohesiveness. So, see, fighting happens within family members. In which family is there no fight? There is difference of opinion, fight, all that, so much natural. So, it's a very large family. We are. And we discuss about indigo, yes.
Yes, so we're going to get into more of the specific questions.
Shared with the world.
So we'll keep on getting to the specific questions.
The itself gets its word from name from India.
The film you're mentioning, Chitraji, it's you can go to the Bharatyan YouTube channel. You will find about 400 films of ours which you can watch. Please choose which you want to watch. Enough to watch. There are 400 short films to watch there.
And we'll link to their website in the email that you will get after this webinar. Somebody's asking, you'll get a recording of this webinar. And the course, some people are asking some of the technical stuff. It's going to be on Saturdays, 11 p.m. Eastern time. So East Coast of the United States. Timing, I know. We have people from around the world. We got to pick a time and hopefully people can attend. And quarter by quarter, we change the timings to make it more accessible to different parts of the world. We'll look into that. But we have a learning management system where you log in, you have access to recorded courses. If you miss it, we want you to be there live so you can interact and ask questions. And then all the course materials are also uploaded into there. Different links to videos that you want, that are readings or videos or information for a particular course. And it's a process, but it's set up very accessible. You can just log in through your HUA ID that you get when you register for a course. I think there's a lot of people in the webinar now that have taken a course with HUA before, and we hope you will continue to do so. And we make it accessible and easy. And Dr. Hari and Dr. Hamari upload all this information in a way that you don't have to go around looking for it, right? That's the purpose of the course, so that you have gurus who can walk you through it week by week and have these interactive conversations. So let me just drop the link to register in the course one more time. Another question.
Bhavani is asking for the link.
Yeah.
The link is there. She's Mr. Ankur Patel is sharing the link with you. You can go to the Bharatyan YouTube channel.
This is our YouTube channel. You can go here, go to playlists, and you will find a lot of videos, short videos. But what we have also done is, as relevant to the course, these and many more we have compiled as reading material, viewing material, and we put it up on the LMS so that it is there as and when, like pertaining to each and every session and what we cover in the course. We put it up for people here.
Now, Dr. Hemal, just walk you through the LMS because the course gives you a lot of reading material. All these films for each class that we take, the relevant film is linked to the class and we give it to you. So we literally give it to you every day in a different cup for you to choose only that cup and view. Otherwise, it's like going into a candy shop or ice cream shop and not knowing which candy to take. Here we are literally giving it to you and say, okay, today we're dealing with this point, please use this candy. Tomorrow using that subjects, use that flavor of ice cream. So every course we are actually giving it to you so you can take it forward and relish the knowledge. The idea is what, not just to read or see. Look at the term Bharata, the land which, so Bharata, the land which relishes knowledge. That's the beauty of it. So let us all together relish this knowledge.
So actually this is a kind of LMS, and once you get in, I'll actually show you through this and for another course that that's currently going on. But the fact is, we must appreciate HUA for making these videos. Once you enroll, they give you a permanent access, and these material that you have, see, the recordings are put up for all the sessions. They'll be made available. Then there are quizzes that you can take, video recordings and the readings.
Some people said, no, that sometimes the course timing is a little difficult. Suppose after you register for the course, 1 or 2 sessions going to be difficult for you. No problem. It's no problem, because you can always go back to video recordings, and the video recordings are available for a long time, not just for the course time or a month or 2 later, but much for years beyond that. So you have long-term access to these course materials, the recordings, and the course collection, reading material and viewing film. So we give long-term access to it. That's the beauty, exclusive. That's something nice that Hindu University America is doing, of giving you these long-term uses. Yeah. So that whenever you want, you can always go back to it, refer to it, because especially when you're discussing with your family members, your friends, your relatives, your nephews, niece, uncle, aunts, grandparents, grandchildren, you can always go back and refer and say, okay, this point was expressed, so you can get back, which in the last year and more, many of our course participants have used this going back, because for them to explain to the family members, that's done well. So it's just not just to take a course, because it gives you a lot of flexibility, freedom to use their own. And the key point of this course, if you see, what we're doing is there are many people where people across countries take the course. Grandparents may be in India, the grandchildren may be in US. They take the course jointly. So it's actually family time.
In fact, even this current course, very interesting story. The son had enrolled for the course, and unfortunately, suddenly his school schedule didn't permit it. And his mother, who was generally hovering here and there in between, heard about the course. I mean, she used to catch snippets and she found it interesting. So she switched it from her son's registration to herself, and she attended the course. And after a session or two, she got her father in India to join, and both father and daughter ended up taking and sharing it afterwards over the phone and everything. They would keep discussing. So it kind of starts building bonds, actually, which is why all our courses, we keep it open for both teens and parents to join together, so that later on, there can be a dining table discussion. This can extend beyond the classroom. It's after all, it's not about something else. You're learning about your own roots, your own ancestry, and discovering yourself, your own strengths. So,
and Subhasha, you mentioned about North Carolina. We have quite a few good friends from Raleigh, North Carolina, who are in this course, and they've been enjoying the course for the last few years. Quite a few people from the medical profession and otherwise also. So certainly welcome for the course where we'll discuss. It's not going to be like the teachers there in class, take session, attendance. No, it's more, it's not even dialogue, it's multi-log. That's the whole purpose of the course.
Yeah. So we're taking a lot of the questions from the chat, but not the Q&A box. We talked earlier.
Welcome.
Yeah. So we talked earlier about, it was the Arabs who did not necessarily claim it, but they get credit for it. And just talk about that more broadly. Why is credit for certain things attributed to some folks and not us, or just that broad kind of maybe conversation? And there's only 7 open questions. So if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A box. It's easier if you put in the Q&A box than in the chat, because it keeps on scrolling.
One point, Somya ji, Ms. Ramurthy, see, I don't think, there were traitors in every land. Yes, in India also had a share of traitors, and a larger share of it. But Alexander was actually defeated in India. Alexander did not win in India against Pururuva. Sikandar did not defeat Pururuva, which is called in Greek as Porus. Instead, it was Pururuva and his son who defeated Alexander and hurt him mortally. That's what he went back. Which is what we show in our course. So when you come to the course, you'll get to see it. Actually, that's one of the things. There's earlier question about which is the big 5. Steel is one of the big 5. There was a question of big 5 which you showed you. What did Alexander, after he was defeated and he was going back as a defeated king? The Alexander the Great was a defeated king in India, and when he going back, do you know what he asked for? Not gold or silver, not diamonds, not any other thing. He asked for 100 talents of steel. Talents is a Greek measure, like how in India you have tola. So he asked for steel and took back from India, because that was what is important. So the Indian steel was as precious as gold, because we have only people making it. So look at that. Like, we'll look at all these aspects in the course with detail, with pictures, relevant quotes, all that. Incidentally, they're also there in our book. So you're welcome to read the book and also join the course, because it's a good mixture of both. Look at the word English word mixture. Where does the word come from? Mishran.
and which is the land that gets its name from this mixture, Mishran?
There's a land in this world which is called Mishra.
That is Egypt's original name, native name. Let's call it indigenous name.
Of Egypt is Mishra. That's why the banks in Egypt was called Mishra Bank.
M-I-S-R, Misra.
Mishra Bank. You look at that Egypt, you'll get this. Why? It's a mixture of the Indian civilization, Hindu civilization, and the Egyptian civilization. Look at how, so like, so many layers we'll deal with in this course.
And see, the thing is, Columbus Europe was trading with India for all these goods, but they were getting it through the Arabs. So they really did not know how to come to India. They never came to India until Vasco da Gama found the sea route to India, which is why we said
for the Europeans, not for India.
Indians were already sailing everywhere, but they never bothered to go beyond the Gulf of Persia and cross over because the Arabs were anyway there. And we had a very good, healthy relationship with Arabs. You will see that we have had Arabs for a long time, much before Islam came to India. And much of this trade was all happening through the hands of the Arab. And therefore, Columbus, many of the things they didn't know came from India, nor did they know the routes to come to India. It was only after Vasco da Gama came sailing to India, did Europeans start coming, and then we know what happened. Greed. It took over, and then that was the end for India. We had colonization, not just of India, but the whole world geopolitics changed. So these are some of the history lessons also that we will be seeing as we look through the contributions and how they have changed and shaped the world. And will there be homework or a final exam? There are interesting quizzes is what we will tell you. There is nothing like a major exam to really get worried about. There are quizzes and that you can take, and even these quizzes are in such a manner that eventually over time you will get your answer correct. Homework is there in terms of not as a homework, but just as a diary where you have to keep jotting. You can jot down whatever learnings for the day so that you have something to refer back to.
And when you want to reflect, she said, refer back, reflect back, not just on that day, 3 months later, 6 months later. If you want to reflect back of what you assimilated in that session of the course, you can always go back to it. That is why we got something called diary jottings. It's for yourself, because we do have access to read your diary jottings, more to know your thoughts. And if there's something that we need to bring in the next session, we'll be happy to do it. But it is for you to keep in one diary in the Hindu University America course page of yours to keep your data. That's how we do it. Okay.
And yes, we will be seeing about the Egyptian. We'll be actually
thank you, Seshaji. Thank
from the trade aspect and the products, the produce that the civilization had produced. We have different, in various, when we do the mind, we see the touch points with the Egyptians and the Mayans from various aspects of other systems of knowledge and so on. So we really keep touching on various things, but there is a beautiful connection that we have described in detail in one of our books, which is called 2012, The Real Story, where we speak in detail about the connection between India and the ancient Americas. So that is on our website.
You can go to the Bharatyan website, you will get to that. See, the opening banner itself is about the course.
And then there are a lot of details in the link. Again, if you need the date, the time, kind of the outline that was gone over, if you click through, you will see a lot of it is already laid out and made accessible. And we're offering a short discount, $100 discount. It's only going to be $200 to enroll if you do so by, I think, Monday night, please. And if you already enrolled, drop it in the chat. Let us know. There's a lot of people who've taken the course saying good things about it. These webinars are amazing, but and I always look forward to them with the hurries. But imagine what the course is like if you appreciated this webinar. And thank you for sticking around. We still have 150 people with us. We're going a little bit long, but we'll get through these questions. Thank you.
So in the books, you can go to this link and find out about the links with America. There is about 2012, The Real Story, then connect with Russia, connect with Japan, and so on. So with different civilizations, and all what we have done is, we know there is a lot of material to read in our books and films, but then there are so many. So pertaining to the readings for these courses from all these various books, we have extracted the relevant
thank you, pages
and created a reading material for you. during the course session. So
Do you have-
eventually you will,
There was something you said.
sorry,
We missed one comment earlier.
scroll, you can just scroll up.
Scroll up. There was something, there was a question there which was there.
Pankaj.
Yes. Yes, Vakankarji. Yes, do you have any information on work done by Vakankarji? Not in this course, but in some of works, because we had the good opportunity of visiting Bhimbetka caves, which is one of the great works of Vakankarji. We happened to visit it, and literally we could feel it. We'll be discussing that if you want in the course, one of the sessions we can discuss about it, but it will come in the next session. Yes, certainly, yes. Any more questions?
So this course, actually, like we were mentioning in during a few minutes ago, there is a part A and a part B to it, as we are doing just once a week. And even that is actually not enough. As you can see, the contributions are endless. The big five are just the big five, but we will also be touching upon many of the other very significant contributions. Who would have ever thought that diamonds are a contribution from India? The world did not know about diamonds.
Till India gave it to the world, Today you think diamond is something you think it's daily. All these so-called things that you take for granted over the last many decades have their roots in India. That's why our book itself is called Roots in India.
So we'll be touching on many of the other aspects, as well as part B will focus more on these products other than the big five, and we'll be looking at the game changer. So it's called the game changer. So there are two parts. People can do either in any sequence, depending on their ability to do this course first or later. But sequence really doesn't matter. But doing it this way with part A as the big five and part B would be a nice flow. And we'll be doing it over 2 quarters, since we're going to be doing it just once a week. And it will also give you actually some time to digest during the week, go through all these reading material, the films that we mentioned, and all of that, and then be ready with more questions.
Yes, sure. Glad to take your questions as we're taking now, which will see Kali Yuga. See, there's a question from Vishweshwarji about Kali Yuga. I would suggest you read our article on Yuga, what the word Yuga itself means, and which is also further detailed in our book, Historical Krishna and Historical Rama, the 2 volumes, on what is Yuga. Then you will start understanding Kali Yuga better, because otherwise if you take the term Kali Yuga alone, it may sometimes feel a little out of place. Let's take that. Okay, so that you'll understand that better. Similarly, there's another question there I saw about the original peoples of Canada. Yes, it's a good question. We discussed this in the book that Hemaji just now showed you in our website called 2012, The Real Story. We wrote this book for the year 2012 when there was supposed to be a world coming to an end and all those things. So we used that as a canvas to show the connect between the Indian civilization and the civilization to the far east of India. Which is a civilization that's to the far east of India? I know, I'm sorry, you cannot answer because
we are used to asking questions in our classes. And
Japan is not far east. Japan is mid-east. Far east is the west coast of Americas.
So actually, America is to our east. If you look at it from the perspective of the Hindu civilization, which was the center of the world. And it indeed was.
Indeed was. So it was.
So, both metaphorically and also in usage. So we will see that when we do in the Hindu contributions to the world in the realm of mind. Fundamentally, we have designed the Hindu contributions as 4 quarters. So 2 quarters for matter, 2 quarters for mind. So in 2 quarters of matter, one will be the big 5 products, and then one will be the game changer, how we changed the world and what helped us leverage our own resources and so on. And the 2 other parts will be on the mind, and that will come, I guess, couple of quarters down the line.
Thank you, Padmaja Sastriji. Yes.
So that over
Sarthi ji,
1
sorry,
year.
Dr. Sarthi. Welcome to the course. Thank you for your appreciation. Welcome to the course. And we'll really look at layers.
So that over
Together.
1 year, once you go through all the 4 quarters, you will get a very beautiful handle on the contributions that this civilization has made to the world, which have gone unacknowledged. I mean, mind you, the contributions we're talking about are not the ones that usually get attributed to India, and but are ones that are not talked about much, but are major game changers for the world per se.
The way world civilizations have evolved, they've been game changers. We will use all this and go through it step by step.
In a way, this is going to be the history of history.
That's what we're going to be doing. So, because unfortunately today the word history has got a very limited connotation. We think of history as what? Unfortunately today, we think we just name some kings here and there, and then we say that's history. No. Whereas what we are doing here is looking at not just history, looking at the civilization in which you got anthropology, history, divinities, trade, production, etymology, society, layers, all that put together is what we look at in this course.
Spirituality, which is what India had, the Hindu civilization, and here very particularly how the Hindu civilization had integrated spirituality through all these layers. That is a very key thing. So when we look at each of these, we will also be touching upon the spiritual aspect. So what is the ethos behind whatever we did? So when we practice industry, there was an ethos with which we practiced. When we traded, there was again an ethos with which we traded.
There's a question about, you did not answer about involved children. Yes, we welcome.
No, who are not able to attend.
Yeah, the timing issue. You know, we're people who can participate and learn. We're trying to make it more accessible. I know it's a challenge, 8 a.m. on a Saturday for kids and et cetera, and we'll do better on scheduling moving forward, but it is what it is. And it is not a waste of time to teach a few people become gurus and teach more people. And that's what we are building here. So this is about contributions and about being positive. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people dismantling Hinduism and Hindutva. There's a lot of different things going on in the broader space, but this course and what the Haris bring is about contribution. And Hindu University of America has courses on all sorts of this history in different angles with different experts that we are giving platforms to so that they can bring this knowledge to you in a way that is accessible again. And it's up to you. We have 120 courses. In the fall, we're going to have 30 courses. And it's great to see the Haris have this 4-course sequence that really builds up and shares this narrative, makes it easier, and empowers and encourages us as Hindus to be representatives of our own culture and civilization with the knowledge and history and the resources to give us that confidence that we have often been lacking. And thank you so much for doing this important work and being with us and staying with us on this webinar also, all the 120 people still on. So we have a few more minutes. Let's start taking the last questions and giving the big, closing ideas. Yeah.
The person who said somewhere the timing may not be suitable, probably what they can do is, since the recordings will be there, if they have to join some days half an hour or 40 minutes later in the course, they're certainly welcome to join in. And the first half an hour or 40 minutes they missed can always be watched after they've finished the actual course, because the recordings will be there within a day. You can start watching it so that you don't miss out on the content per se, because we have had people, and you'll get attendance for watching it later. You'll not miss your attendance, because once you have watched it and said, yes, I watched it, university will give attendance to you. All that you have to drop in a mail is, yes, I watched it, this component, and I've entered the data of this in my diary notes. So we know that you have watched it, you have entered your diary points, and you will be given full attendance for it. Suppose for some reason, some people weekends are slightly busy, but the other items to attend to on weekends, if you sort of cannot take the full 90-minute course, you can do only 30-40 minutes and listen to the other aspect later, or you come back later, all that is perfectly fine. So there's a lot of flexibility available for you. On one weekend, you're not able to attend, you can always join back the next weekend, or you can watch it in between. So much we're giving you options.
And here, this is to Subramanian Kumarji's point, why did we stop producing? That is a very beautiful point, and we will be looking at this in this course. Fundamentally, we'll be looking at it with each of those industries. When we look at iron and steel, when we look at sugar, when we look at the cotton, we will look at the what made our products produce so sought after by the world, and why did we stop producing? Why have we fallen down in these products? Of course, some of them we have revived and we've come back, but uh, it is not to the extent like it was before. The perception of the quality of Indian the products that were made here, steel, for example, was the best, and we will be looking at evidences for how the world regarded it as the best. So all this, how did it drop, how did it fall, and what happened because these industries stopped? That is also another aspect that we will be seeing during this course.
And Subhadra ji, for the point you raised, yes, if you happen to miss one or two classes here and there in between, no problem. You can always join back, listen to the recordings. You can always come back, not a problem at all. And thank you so much, Mikala, for saying such nice words. Really appreciate, and we really appreciate your participation in our course, Exploring Hinduism. We really enjoyed your participation in the course.
Michaela is incidentally a war veteran and who has been doing the Exploring Hinduism course with us, and very interested.
And she's asked a lot of good questions.
Every participant in each of our courses actually motivate us to speak more, and we enjoy, we relish. So we are really gaining the meaning of Bharata with every course that we do with our classes.
And what we do in this, it's we gain friends and friendship for lifelong, because we would, as much as we learn every day as part of research, we would like to share this with all of you in different formats always. So that is a strength. So it is going to be a lifelong association, not just for the course of 10 sessions or 20 sessions or 30 sessions. We look at it, we seriously look at it that way, and we really look forward to a long association with each one of you. And as Ankur Patel just said, yes, there are still 111 participants in the course. So nice of each one of you to stay back and participate in this, ask so many questions. Very nice of you, each one of you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and there was I think a Geeta Sikand who had asked about some access to a course. Ankur, you can take that up a little. Yeah, and so we are Bharatiyas, we are Bharatvarshis. We will understand why we are called Bharatvarsha, and everything. There is nothing that is without meaning, layers of meaning, and nothing that you will not relish.
We look at the word Varsha. When you say Bharatvarsha, of course, we do that in the Exploring Hinduism course. We look at the word, what the Varsha means also. And those who have done the course know, I'm sure Seshaji is there, Sunandaji is there, they've all done this. What is Varsha? So that's there. So you know it, so you can share with others. Okay, yes. Yes, we will do that. Obviously, we will certainly do it sometime. And yes, would there be written material that needs to be read? Of course, yes, there is a lot of good written material, detailed, available to read. Choice to read is yours.
The choice to read is yours, the choice to participate. Thank you for making that choice of joining us today on this webinar. We hope you choose to enroll in this important and beautiful course and continue contributing to the world in whatever way you see fit and is in your dharma. And again, I'm always excited and happy, and I feel good at the end of these webinars, all of them, but especially with the Haris and the positivity, and especially on this one where we're talking about the contributions, where we're talking about all these important things and the positive things that we've built and done in the past and what we can realize and continue to share. And that's what Hindu University of America is about. And again, I'm glad. And we'll send a recording of this webinar.
You,
yeah,
there's a question to you from Anuja P.
Yeah, so the recording of this webinar will be sent to everyone who registered originally. Pragyaji does that, our director of admissions. You'll probably get that tomorrow or the day after this recording is uploaded. We'll include some links. And please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat one last time. The link to the course and some of the details, including the $200 discount, $100 discount costing. And that's my work email right there, ankur.patel@hua.edu. Please reach out to me about anything. And as the Hurries are also so accessible, if you have a question, send it. They will answer it. They love to get into it. I think we got into basically all the questions. We kind of went over some of them repeatedly in different ways and went around. But as always, it's a pleasure.
Sajjan ji, thank you, Sajjan.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Sajjan Agarwal ji is here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So do we sign off, Ankur ji?
Yeah, last thoughts. Thank you. Dhanyawad. Beautiful.
Always there. So we just love to enjoy the company, though it's online, the company of all our good friends. The course is just a medium to take it forward. That's all we see it as. It's more an association, a relationship, discussion, sharing of ideas, opinions. That's what it is. Yes, there's a structure to it. That's all in the form of a Hindu University America course, which is a medium of providing this platform to all of us jointly.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste all. See you next weekend on the webinar and hopefully see you in the course. Dhanyawad. Namaste all.